Hello, I'm Robert, your physiotherapist here at Lorian Physiotherapy Services. The last couple of weeks, I talked about quite a number of conditions that physiotherapists address. And today, in particular, I want to talk about diabetes because it has some symptoms that kind of resemble the conditions that physio see and the manifestations. I've received patients complaining of burning feet, ulcerations and clogged vessels, and that has triggered me to talk about diabetes. I will begin by defining what diabetes is. It's a chronic disease that is as a result of dysregulation of the sugars, usually after a meal. The food we eat is broken down into blood sugars, also known as glucose, which is taken up by cells, which can be used as a fuel, as energy. And it is dependent on a hormone called insulin. So any abnormality in the functioning of insulin is as a result of diabetes. The symptoms that will present will have the need to take water, you lose weight, and going to the rhinos, the urge to urinate all the time. Those are some of, so if you get those symptoms, better to go out and check it. Diabetes requires a multidisciplinary team. It is better to be managed by specialists and subspecialists, even your personal doctors. And these days, knowing whether you have diabetes or not, it's much easier. They can do a fasting test or a non-fasting test, which is called the A1C. And any result above 6.5 necessitates that you have diabetes. It has quite a number of complications, as I'll highlight. And diabetes, in acute phases, it can lead to a condition called ketoacidosis, that is building of acids within the blood vessel walls, and it can be a serious and debilitating condition which can make you lose your life. So don't. And the funny thing with diabetes is that in the earlier manifestations, you will not see symptoms. The symptoms, it's a silent killer, so better to be checked. It has effects on the eyes, on the cardiovascular system, on the nerves, on the kidney, on the shoulder and the feet. So I beg that maybe I can also talk about in detail how these different body structures are affected by diabetes. But before I talk about that, I'll have to tell you that diabetes is of 3 types. There is what we call the type 1, juvenile or insulin dependent. That happens to children and even adults at any time, and that is as a result of failure of your body or the pancreatic beta cells to produce a hormone called insulin. And the people with such type of diabetes will have to rely on insulin injectables so that they can always regulate their sugars. Type 2 diabetes, which is the most common, the diabetes mellitus, it happens at any time in our lifetime, which is as a result of lifestyle changes, and this is as a result of failure of the fat, liver and muscle cells to respond to insulin. So the body produces the insulin, but the cells do not respond to insulin and they fail to pick up the glucose. So the glucose means in blood. It's the most common and it's the most disturbing. Another type of diabetes is the gestational diabetes, which happens in pregnant mothers, usually due to hormonal changes and weight gain, and that one usually disappears immediately after birth.